Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the CWL Anaheim Open Day #1. So many games played and still so many more games to be played on that main stage. Of course, up next, we're going to have a fantastic series, Team EnVyUs versus Luminosity Gaming. And I want to get my experts' opinions on this one coming in. Who do you think currently is the stronger squad, Merc?
Oh, well, you have to go with Luminosity based off their second place performance at Stage 1 playoffs. But today, I mean, Envy, they reverse sweep Red Reserve. On the other side, Luminosity, you know, they lose to Epsilon. So in terms of this day, you just sort of had to talk about where, you know, Envy, they sort of were able to turn it around. Luminosity, not so much, and they dropped that first match. And sometimes they've had a bit of problems in pool play in past events.
I am curious for predictions, so I actually want to take a look at the map set for the series so I can get my more precise predictions from you guys. I don't want to throw you under the bus, but we'll take a look at those maps. And Proof, in terms of this one for you, who are you looking at now when you see this map set?
Octane.
Octane?
I see freezing uplink, I see retaliation. Okay. I'm going to watch Octane the entire time. I think he's going to go like 40 and like no deaths on the first map, pretty much beating everything. The Octane show in the finals versus Zero, remember he went completely off, so.
That's true, Team.
This is a really tough call. Both teams looking very shaky. The biggest thing that scares me though is I think we saw a bit of that old LG S&D, which is really scary. They lost those two to Epsilon. So if this does end up going the full series, we saw back at Dallas, Envy was able to take them in a Game 5. So I feel like if it does make it all the way, I'm taking Envy in 5. It's a tough call though. Yeah,
and this was a matchup at Stage 1 playoffs in that first round where Luminosity was able to beat Envy 3-1. So, you know, Luminosity, they were able to sort of switch that series around. You know, Saints played very, very well at Stage 1 playoffs. Their Search and Destroy looked great. But Envy, you just never know what you're going to get. We've been looking for that World Championship team to really step it up this year. So we'll see if this is the event they finally do it.
And yeah, being a player, I want to talk about the way LG lost. It was chokes. You know, they had the opportunities to win and they choked. So when you go into your next series with that mentality, like we were giving away map sets, it's all about how you respond after that and what are your thoughts with your teammates going into the next series. EnVyUs, on the other hand, they reverse swept. So their mentality going into it is like, all right, we got our rhythm. Let's just continue doing what we're doing and go ahead and take this series.
The thing that's scary for me is, yes, LG was really scary at the playoffs. However, the consistent thing for them this whole year is LG's been choking almost the entire time. They have the advantage. It always seems like everything's pointing in their direction. Then all of a sudden they screw up something simple. They lose one of those S&Ds when they have a huge lead. They lose one of the respawns which they should probably never lose. So it's when they show those chinks in the armor, I feel like the better teamwork team, which I guess I would give to EnVyUs, is going to have a bit of an edge.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it LG that was up 5-0 versus Optic and allowed them to come back and win 6-5, correct?
Oh, that was
exactly.
You're just dropping bombshells.
They need, because I want them to get better at what they're messing up. You know, choking. Just close out a game, relax, take your time. You had a 2v4, you had reactive armor, you had camo. Realize those things, just pop them anyways. You know what I mean, and run out there.
Of course.
Just things like that. Keep your head in the game and keep playing.
Well, Team EnVyUs versus Luminosity Gaming up next on the main stage. And we can send it down to our fabulous casters for the series. It's Mr. X and Momo.
Thank you very much, Benson. And yeah, we have got two North American Titans going up against each other. Luminosity and, of course, EnVyUs. I mean, these guys couldn't have had opposite ends of the spectrum when it came to playoffs. Well, coming up today, EnVyUs make the reverse sweep. LG failed that reverse sweep. This could go the distance as well.
Yeah, I mean, Envy goes up against a very good Red Reserve team earlier in the day. Red Reserve, you know, coming off their hot relegation play, they win the first two maps. Envy, they storm back and they win that series. Luminosity cannot do the same against Epsilon. I think Epsilon, a little bit of a higher caliber team than Red Reserve. I would put them actually probably, at this point, probably on
they're
par
playing
with
each other right now. It is one-on-one.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's kind of, it's day one. You know, anything can kind of happen with these, but I do agree. I think EnVyUs will just be on a bit more of a high right now. LG, it's day one, game one, and they've already kind of thrown something out the basket. But this is a bit of time for redemption, maybe?
I do worry about EnVyUs in this series because they're not much of an explosive team, right? I think when you look at Envy as a team, like they're going to win games consistently, playing smart, rotating, like that's not really what Infinite Warfare is about. It's just about fast-paced, outslaying your opponents. And Luminosity has the roster to do that just about against anybody. But, you know, they do have some things like the analysts were saying, you know, mentally, you know, can they get over the hump? And we saw them get second at the playoffs. They looked phenomenal. I think Saints a big reason why. You know, we played great throughout that event. But they come in, they drop their first series. It's important to see them bounce back strong here against EnVyUs.
Yeah, and arguably against a better team, a team they're definitely more familiar with. The fellow North American team of EnVyUs will be taking on Luminosity. First map, though, we'll be heading to Retaliation Hardpoint. The boys on the desk kind of said, or Proofy in particular, he'll be watching Octane. However, I want to be looking individually at more kind of those, closer, more aggressive players. I want to see a little bit more from Slacked. And we've talked about John, all year round. Apathy's been pretty consistent. When John gets on his game, he is the one to change that game, to really elevate the likes of EnVyUs. So these guys definitely know the play style of either squad. But going into this, have you got any kind of favorite going into this, or?
I would say Luminosity. I would go with Luminosity going into this one. I think just the more consistent, stronger team throughout Infinite Warfare thus far. But if you get a subpar series from Octane, and Saints kind of reverts back to the play that we saw, before the playoffs, EnVyUs. I mean, they play well at these big events, man. You get Apathy, Click in, John as well. I think they could be a very difficult out for Luminosity.
Absolutely. It's almost like there's two Luminosity squads. One where Slacked is just the best player who's just running around gunning. But when you get Octane and Saints going at the same time, absolutely dominating squad. And talking about Octane's going to kick things off with a nice two-piece himself, and taking that high position is going to be 3 down for EnVyUs straight away. And Luminosity, they're going to get the first points on the board.
He was such a beast at the playoffs for Stage 1, Octane. I think he really kind of, I don't want to say like broke out there, but we knew how good he was, but you really saw his potential, man. I mean, when he gets heated up and his shot at range, it's just dominant. There's nothing you can do about it. There's not many players in the world that can take him out from a far ways away. So I think Octane definitely brings a lot to this LG team, and on a map like Retaliation, he can definitely dominate the long sightlines.
Yeah, one thing that I do like about both teams, actually, they've adapted individually to this, in particular, this hard point, which will be just bringing those MV4s out. I don't expect to see that throughout the game. We will see those change up, but just the likes of John having the MV4, we've got Octane as standard, but I expect that to change going into the second side. Dropping down to the lower street, though, we are going to see Envy with that rotation. However, Luminosity with that 15-point lead here, and Octane starting hot. Slack, though, on the other hand, yet to pick up his first kill.
Yep, Envy picks up a few kills here on the rotation, so they will control lower street early. See Saints just trying to patrol this hotel hallway. He was trying to stay alive there. He picked up one, waiting for some teammates to come through, be able to make a good push down towards the lower street. Here's Luminosity's chance. They pick up 2 kills. Now they're trying to flood. They do have control of this next hill, so they want to get control of this lower street, but more importantly, Phil, they don't want to lose control of those cathedral spawns for this next hard point coming up.
And talking of that, with only 20 seconds left, you look at that minimap and you think Luminosity, they've got the power position. They've not only got the hard point right now, but they have that spawn. EnVyUs 2 players will go down. That's Slacked and Apathy. Slacked and Apathy trading. Slack picking up his first kill, making his second there, as he now looks to that rotation. But one player already there. It's already Octane, and with 5 seconds left, Luminosity just seemed a little bit more disciplined.
Yep, Octane's already set up there in the back, gonna pick players off as they come across the bridge. You see Slack here in that back hotel hallway. Was not able to pick up one. The pressure's going to come into the hard point on Octane, but he's able to win the battle. And that is something he's very good at, Phil. With the NV4 in hand, we see a lot of the players struggle to win these close quarter engagements against players with ERADs, against players with K-bars. Octane, one of the best at doing that.
I think it's just, knowing when, you need to aim down sights, when you don't. And he just has that kind of laser-like lock on accuracy. And that's why he is 10-4 right now. His positioning as well is very important, always putting himself very close to get away. But he's going to challenge straight away up into JCap, and he's going to get the better of him as well. And the call-out comes in just like that, not a bullet missed. And Luminosity, they should break 100.
It's like when you see Scump with an SMG in his hand, and it just looks like he kills people faster than everybody else. Octane does the same thing with the NV4, currently on a 4 streak. He has single-handedly locked down this hill for Luminosity. He will fall, though, but the damage is done. 5 seconds left on Cathedral. LG has taken a ton of time there.
And they've taken a ton of time. They've gone, you know what? You can have the last 5 seconds. We're going to rotate over to Broken, and we're going to dominate that side as well. Will Envy break 4? Maybe John is the player to do so. He's swapped from the MV4 to a K-bar, and he's actually going to see his teammate get taken down. That's going to be Cap himself. Slash is jumping in. And this is where I would have liked to see Slasher and John work together. No, they go in individually, and we're going to see Classic pick up a nice 3-piece, and LG stay on top.
And for the side of EnVyUs, you look at Slasher. He's kind of like their main AR, their pillar player in this role for this team. Right now, 3 and 8. You see the difference when your main AR is playing at a top level. Octane 14 and 6 right now, just making the game easy for his teammates. And that is why Luminosity has jumped down to a 132 to 55 lead.
That's the first big break that we've seen from EnVyUs. Hopefully they can hold this for the next 15 seconds, get back into that game, because after this, we're going to that middle hallway, which we'll see traded out, and then we're going to start to see a few payloads. Talking of payloads, Octane already has unlocked his. I don't think it's anything game-changing just yet, but Cap on your screen, he's trying to maybe push for a flank here. He's very close to Octane. He has spotted one, so we'll be pushing this curve. But as he does so, two of his teammates go down, and again, LG still in control.
Yeah, nobody from what we've seen so far working towards score streaks or has any at this moment in time, from at least our knowledge from the players we've been on board with. You see Octane does have the FTL jump payload ability at his disposal, but you know, it's not like a huge game-changing play. Sure, maybe use it to pick up one kill, kind of like General did, you know, win them around. But in a respawn game mode, it's going to be a lot harder to make a high-impact play with FTL.
Now, I was the one to actually say this hallway can, you know, be really split and go either side, but Luminosity has taken every single point so far from this middle hallway, and EnVyUs, they're just struggling to kind of string some kills together. With Saints going off like this, it is going to be difficult. However, we talk about those rotations. No score streaks are in game as we speak as of yet. This is where sometimes you will see your Trinities, your bombardments used on this. But Team EnVyUs just holding them at bay right now. They're down 100 though. Can they come back from this?
It'd be highly unlikely. With the way LG plays and how good of a slaying team they are, usually you can see a team come back into a game, right? They start to rally some kills together, rally some time, earn some payload abilities, maybe some score streaks as well, to be able to break these hills on the rotation. But EnVyUs, you know, obviously, you know, a very talented team, but not one you can think that can rally together. You know, everybody on some streaks against such a strong team like Luminosity.
Yeah, we're back to the bridge and to the second set of rotations. We see Luminosity leading by just under 100 points. We're at an 80-point lead, but Envy closing the gap here as 3 go down for Luminosity, and Envy, they will control the last 20 seconds unless Luminosity decide to go for it once more. It looks like they're going for one more push before the lower street rotation will come in. But Slack just being kept at bay, and I think that's John just lingering around, dancing around, having a bit of fun with him, and JCap, a nice bait and switch there.
And what's difficult about the position that EnVyUs is in is, sure, they need a lot of this time, right? They need to contest these hard points all the way to the end, but you also don't want to give up the initial rotations to the next hard point.
Yeah.
So right now, they had to play a lot for this bridge, right? They couldn't give up the 15, 20 seconds. They don't have that luxury to do so. They've rotated now towards that lower market, but when it's really going to hurt them is, you know, on Cathedral and going towards Broken, right? You can't give up the last 20 or so seconds to Luminosity, because they're going to be so close to actually winning the game that you have to contest for that time. And because you contest for that time, you can't go over towards that next hard point and get set up. So it's a very dangerous position that EnVyUs is in, a very difficult one to come back from.
Yeah, it's catch-22. There's no good outcome right now for Team EnVyUs. Luminosity dominating both the Slain department and that objective. You've got Octane with 1:22, and he's 22 and 15. He is dominating so far. However, Slasher, maybe that player that needs to go toe-to-toe with him, 11 and 17. He's got a 3-kill streak to his name right now, so stepping it up a little bit, but he's just not being that same player, that influential player.
But look at the way Luminosity can play this. They stack all 4 members towards the left side of your minimap. They're setting up for this next hill. And Envy, they're in a really difficult spot. It's either they don't rotate and they kind of take the rest of this time, and now they're forced to break through the market here, which is very difficult.
Yeah.
Or they rotate early, they don't get any time, and they don't get the next hill as well. So very difficult situation. You see it plays out where Luminosity picks up the kills, and now look how far Envy is spawning. Luminosity only needs 50 seconds to win the game. In a very good spot to close it out on this hill.
And in the process of doing so, you're also feeding them kills, which means your payload is obviously increasing. We've seen Classic as well available now. He's got active camo, and that itself can be very dangerous, obviously, in the likes of breaking a hill or just keeping it. But John and JCap will combine for the double, and they'll take control of Cathedral. There is still 30 seconds on this, which they've done very well to do so. The decision now for Luminosity is, do you push for one more, or do you just rotate early? I think there is time for a couple of the players to just push one more time, and I think they're going to try and do so.
I think what you can do is actually kind of split, where you can send one player maybe to get Cathedral, or 2 players, because you know Envy, they're probably only going to leave 1 player there and send 3 players to the other side of the map.
Yeah.
You see how far away this next hill is. They do just that. EnVyUs holds on to Cathedral, but they get no gunfight wins on this right-hand side of the minimap, where the Broken Hill will spawn up. You see Luminosity gets in control of it early, and Luminosity, I mean, really at a moment to win this game, they just need a solid, 15, 20 here, then they can go over to Hotel Hallway, a lot of contention, they have the active camo to work with. They're in a very good spot to close this game.
And look at your minimap as well. EnVyUs, they're spawning at that Cathedral. That takes 5-10 seconds just to get across the bridge. Then you've got to make the play, and with trading out things like that, Saints, 1-on-1, and Classic picking up another. It's not going to work out for them. 33 seconds left. We are going to see JCap get in. However, Classic has used his camo. Now he's trying to break in. That should be it for them. They should break through, and hopefully they can hold on. If you're a Luminosity gaming fan, 5 points away. But that, for me, has been a pretty one-sided affair in map number 1.
Yeah, Luminosity come out, dominate game 1, 250 to 168 here against EnVyUs. Trying to bounce back from their loss against Epsilon earlier in the tournament. It's going to be LG take game number 1.
Yeah, and strong in their in the process of doing so. Octane, he was the player to watch. Proof, we've got to give credit. He pointed that one out. However, just kind of payload abilities that, you know, didn't even come into play. That game was over pretty quickly. It wasn't close. I think Luminosity not only played it very smart, they played it efficiently. They just kind of gave up time when they needed to, and, you know, and took the time as well when it was, you know, in their hands. And I think just playing that very smart.
Yeah, and Retaliation's a very difficult map to make a comeback on, especially when you don't earn those payload abilities, you don't earn those score streaks, because that Cathedral and Broken Hardpoint, those are the two you want to control on that map. They're so far away from each other that you cannot really get 2 great holds on both of them consistently, you know, and consecutively without having those abilities and streaks to work with.
And I think as well that map kind of played into almost Luminosity's favor with the likes of Octane, those long range gunfights, should I say. And you've got those SMG plays, if you like, where if we saw a throwback maybe, we'd see Apathy and John getting in the face of the likes of Octane and Classic, and we didn't see that. Maybe if we get to a second hard point, we will do. But going into Search and Destroy, you know, is LG just a respawn team? Are they a team that can clutch up on the S&Ds as well?
Well, a big reason why we saw success from them at the Global Pro League playoffs, you know, in stage 1 was their S&D play. They were phenomenal in the mode. You know, like, they got better during the group play during the week. They played great during the playoffs. If this team can win S&Ds, you see the potential they have. It's just whether they can put it together at these big events consistently.
Okay, well, going into game number 2, Envy, their backs against the wall. They're 1-0 down. They've been in this position already this tournament. They went 2-0 down against Red Reserve, a European squad. They bounced back. They took the reverse sweep. However, they're up against Luminosity Gaming, arguably a better squad and one which is on fire right now, taking map number 1.
Yeah, you just can't go down 2-0 consistently if you're EnVyUs. Obviously, we have not gone into map number 2 yet. You don't know the outcome. Luminosity, a very shaky S&D team. But if you're Envy, you can't afford to keep going down in these series and trying to mount these comebacks. It's just not going to happen often.
So the question was obviously raised on the desk, you know, who is the player to watch, and Octane was for the respawn. Have you got your eyes on anyone in particular in the Search and Destroy? For myself, I'd be looking at the likes of Classic.
I think it's just everybody for LG, to be honest. I don't think there's like one player that can really kind of change this team in Search and Destroy. I think it's the play style they play as a team. They need to stay together. They need to trade effectively. You see them when they trade effectively, you know, they stay close to each other. They're able to trade those kills out fast. That's when they're good in S&D.
Okay, well, we'll have to wait and see for that one. For EnVyUs, they need to change something. They're 1-0 down. They've been here before. And this is not the EnVyUs squad that we know and love. You know, we used to see them kind of breezing through to semi-finals, having a great time, finishing top of their pool. But they're being challenged by these other rosters, the likes of Luminosity. You know, we've got other teams up and coming that are pushing them, as well as some of the European squads. But this is a big game for them. They've already, you know, picked up 1 win. If they were to take this series, they find themselves 2-0 in the pool, and LG would actually be 0-2. Because don't forget, guys, LG lost to Epsilon.
Yeah, and I think obviously if LG were to win this series, go on, you know, you have a crazy scenario, right? I mean, Luminosity now is 1-1. I know EnVyUs would be 1-1. You look at, you know, Red Reserve versus Epsilon, you know that's going to be a close series, or Red Reserve could potentially, you know, get to 1-1 as well. You could have a very, you know, tight group if those outcomes come their way.
I was saying this before and almost kind of wishing good luck to whichever open bracket team comes into this pool and has to face Red Reserve, Epsilon, LG, and of course Envy. Like, how do you go against those 4 squads?
Usually I don't give the open bracket teams much chance anyway, but this one would be it'd be very difficult. I mean, you know, to come into this group against these teams, it would be very difficult to get, I don't even want to say game. I mean, I'd be happy with some maps. I mean,
these are 2 North American Titans, European squads, obviously, that have been kind of put together. Epsilon didn't make the playoffs, neither did Red Reserve, but they're a team that have fought their way through relegation.
I do think even though they don't make playoffs, I think those 2 teams are in the higher echelon of European teams. I mean,
without a doubt.
After Splice, I mean, where do you go? I think Epsilon's probably right there.
I think it's Epsilon and Red Reserve
and I think
right
Red
now.
Reserve, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I completely agree. Top 3 European teams, they're going and battling on, they were 1-1, I think, on Charlie or Delta. However, we'll keep you updated. The guys on the desk as well will do. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top, because again, if Epsilon take that, they're 2-0 in the pool. Could Epsilon maybe finish, top of their pool? Is it a possibility? Epsilon, of course, will have to play EnVyUs. So many great games yet to come.
Well, I mean, Europe, they've been celebrating Splice's win now for a while. It's like, yeah, we did it. It's like, well, one team did it. It's like, let's see if you can have some others from Europe step up. Red Reserve, they get through relegation yesterday. They looked amazing. 3-0, 3-0 through relegation yesterday. Coming in today, it looked like they were going to get another 3-0 here against EnVy early. They go up 2-0. They end up blowing the series. But you got to believe Europe comes into this event, Momo, with a little bit more confidence than ever.
It really does, and sometimes confidence is good. Sometimes confidence can turn into cocky, and you don't want to get complacent. You don't want to think, oh, we're the champions, we're going in. And I think Splice have taken the right outlook. Listening to Mad Cat, he was asked the question, are you the best team in the world right now? And he said, there's 6, 8 teams that could win this tournament, and he's absolutely right. However, we are going into game number 2. It's going to be Search and Destroy on Throwback between LG and EnVyUs. And kicking things off, we're going to be on the attack with Luminosity Gaming.
Well, look to see Luminosity be very aggressive on both sides, offense and defense, whether they go for these quick plans or they kind of go right up that middle of the map and try and put a lot of pressure on EnVyUs.
And one thing we said about LG, of course, at the playoffs, we gave them the term like wolf packing, just going around, sticking together. Will it pay off for them this time? Cap's going to draw first blood, but answered back by Saints and Slack for the double. And now straight away, it's all up to Apathy in a 1v3. That's going to end round 1. You said it was quick, you said it was fast. And you couldn't have been more right.
It's what LG wants to do. Force gunfights in the middle of the map. They don't want to get into some kind of strategy mind game where they want to kind of figure out where the other guys are. They got to go look for guys that are hiding. They want to just get out towards mid-map and fight you. And right there, EnVy shows up in the middle of the map. LG able to wipe them off.
Yeah, and of course, that's what you get. I mean, Luminosity, we talk about the dominance and respawn, and if they can turn that almost into, if it were a hard point in the middle, everyone going straight for it, they're very confident in their own gun skill. However, JCap and EnVyUs trying to play them at their own game here, and this time, it will pay off. Just like that, Octane left in a 1v3. A little bit of deja vu. However, for the flip side of things, Octane, he has to go big.
Yeah, they just played that a little bit slower, EnVy. So what they did is they let the players on LG come a little bit forward to their side of the map. And Slasher played under this underpass with the NV4, and he was able to pick up 2 really easy kills, which threw the round in EnVyUs' favor. It'll be Octane last alive here, 1v3. The bomb is down. They know exactly where he is. Not a great spot to be in with the NV4.
Absolutely not, and we talked about how good he was at any range, but that a little bit too much to ask there. He's trying to maybe just pick up 1 kill and even work towards his payload ability. He, of course, will be rocking camo, but he doesn't manage to pick up any of the 3 there left, and we're going to see that tie up Envy and LG 1 apiece.
See, Luminosity now go back on the offensive side of things. Will they go with that aggressive play towards the middle of the map? Maybe they switch it up. Maybe they get aggressive over towards B. Maybe they get aggressive over towards the bike path area of the map. Over towards A. But it looks like straight up the middle will be their play call yet again, Momo.
Yep. As it worked previously, they're going to try it straight again. And this is what we talk about. They've got players around them to trade if they do go down. However, Saints draws the first blood, and that's his 4th kill of the game. Slack cleans up.
Luminosity wants to live or die with this playstyle. They pick up a few kills there. They win that round. But, man, Saints just as a player from, the open events that we had, in towards the regular season and playoffs, he has been a completely different player, a high-impact player for this LG squad.
I've been watching Saints for, going on 5-6 years now, and he's just been, always amongst the best, but he's never kind of, done the same in the likes of a grand final. So it'd be great to see him, kind of make his move and make his mark on this EnVyUs squad. However, 2 players go down either sides, and now he's left just up to 1. The melee's not going to help at that distance. And we're going to see again EnVyUs tie things up here, back and forth from these 2 squads. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a game 5 or a round 11. 2 North American powerhouses here going head-to-head.
Yeah, for some reason, Saints has always been this player that when, in the history of Call of Duty over the numerous titles, you've been like, oh, like, what do you think of Saints? It's like, oh, Saints is sick. Like, he does some insane stuff, puts up huge numbers in respawn game modes. But then it's like, well, do you consider one of the best players in the game? And it's like, you're just kind of like hesitant to kind of like go there for whatever reason. I just feel like, he's always been like, having that really strong team and foundation around him away from like kind of getting over that hump. When I saw him on this roster, I was like, okay, this is the time where you're really going to see Saints like lead a team to a victory. They just have not been able to put it together this far.
Well, we'll see if he can change that, as we do see Slacked, Octane, and Slacked and Saints, should I say. Bit of a tongue twister there, but Apathy again left in a 1v3, not for the first time, and this time the bomb is down, so a little bit of a different strategy. They've gone to plant that bomb. We are going to see one fall, however, with 25 seconds, very unlikely to see Apathy make anything more than maybe an extra kill there.
Well, I mean, they wipe out that side of the map over by A, and instead of kind of roaming around looking for players to potentially hide in, you know, forcing some tough gun sites in corners, they just get bombed down and be like, okay, no, we've killed everybody on this side of the map. Let's force these other players to come out towards us now and fight us.
I mean, here's a question for yourself. Obviously, you know, you are heavily involved in the complexity era. You know, if you get a team like LG right now, they're being super aggressive, they're playing their own game and it's working for them, what do you do? Do you play them at their own game? Do you just stick to what you know, or try and slow it down?
You gotta slow it down. You can't play at their pace. I mean, if EnVy tries to play at their pace, I mean, this is not going to go pretty. I mean, for Team EnVyUs, you see right now, more gunfights in the middle of the map. Apathy able to pick up 2. That'll end the round in favor of EnVy, but you know, more times than not, you're not going to be able to play at the other team. It would be like the Cavaliers, right, in basketball. You don't know basketball because you're not.
Oh, the Cavs, right?
Right. I mean, they don't have the same strengths as the Warriors, so why would they try and play at the same type of play style? You just would not do that. So I think in Call of Duty, kind of like the same thing, right? I mean, EnVyUs' strength is not going towards the middle of the map and trying to outslay you gun on gun. Like, they want to play a little bit more tactical, a little bit slower. So I think they need to try and force that playstyle on LG.
And even that round was close enough, but a team kill came in for Luminosity. 3-3 as everything is tied up, and we do see Saints spot a couple in the middle. That's intel for them as the payloads are starting to come in. But again, this time Luminosity, they've gone for the strategy of the bomb side on A. John picking up the first blood, and now can wiggle his way around. He's actually going to find 2 players, takes down 1, should be traded out by Slacks and is, but a 2v2 looms, and now we have a very close gunfight all up to 8-2. He's having a fantastic game so far. Do you think this is a must-win game for EnVy? Do you think, you know, if they go 2-0 down again, are they capable of another reverse sweep on a team like Luminosity?
I mean, are they capable? Absolutely. But I think those reverse sweeps, they take a lot of energy out.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to really, you know, focus down for 3 straight maps, backs against the wall. You know it's so hard to put the other team away in a must-win situation that, you know, EnVy, it's asking a lot of your guys early to put yourselves in this type of situation again.
Okay, so round 8 we're coming into. This is the first where we've seen a completely different playstyle come in. Luminosity on the back foot. They've slowed things right down here, and it looks like they're playing for the retake. John is going to be left alone on the bomb here, and now the push comes in from Luminosity. Classic leading the way here, and he's going to be the first to fall. Will it be traded is the question, and the answer is no. Back and forth, but EnVyUs, they're going to close this one out as long as Saints can't make a 1 versus 3. Shot from behind there, 4-4, all tied up here in game number 2.
This one's gonna go right down to the wire. EnVy hanging in this search and destroy. Seems like for a while, you know, we've been talking about how good LG's been in this S&D and whatnot. EnVy still a 4-4 in rounds, tied up. This would be a huge map win for them. You talked about, is it a must win? I definitely think it is. You know, you don't go down 0-2. I mean, if they do win this, you know, you like their chances in the uplink. Maybe they kind of right their wrongs in the hard point and potentially take this series.
Okay, well, reactive armor for John. Apathy has FTL. Maybe they take the fight to them in the middle and try and win it with those Slacked. Actually picked off Slasher at a bit of a long-range distance gunfight there, and that's going to be first blood for Luminosity. Just what they needed when the payloads are coming in. But John, it worked previously, but this time he's not going to see anyone. Yes, he is. Gets out with his life. But Luminosity, they've gone into the base of Team EnVyUs now, and they're starting to just Wolfpack stick together and make this 4v3 work in their favor. They will do so now in a 4v2.
I love that by Luminosity. You know, they knew where John was, and instead of just kind of letting him get lost on the map, they go and they challenge him as a team. And you see Apathy trying to get up high on the wall run, look down at the bomb. Him and JCap both fall. So it'll be LG 1 round away from taking game number 2. But John's still with that reactive armor here going into that next round. Could have put it to some good use, force around 11.
Yeah, it was a clean sweep all around there. 4-0 in kills on that round in particular. However, you pointed out the reactive armor. I'm intrigued to see how close any of the LG players are. I know FTL was already used, but have they got anything? The answer is no. Slacked is close, but John is the main man to watch. He's got reactive armor, and this is going to be one team going one way and one team going the other. But it's how quick LG can react. You know, they're in A now and they go, there's absolutely nothing here. And you can see straight away Octane and Slacked have reactive. They're backed off, and a Scarab is in use by Slacked.
Most likely the Scarab just going to be used as a score streak to gain information. Or maybe you get a player weak and you follow it up with a kill. It's the lowest score streak we see used in competitive Call of Duty. So there comes the Scarab. It gets players weak, but you see, it's Luminosity. They had Octane following it up there, trying to pick up a kill after. He was not able to do so. So EnVy in a very good spot. Bomb down. They have the great positioning.
For me, if Slack can just get a kill here, not going to happen. He's going to be taken down, and John doesn't even need his reactive armor, so that's going to be saved for round 11. And with Slack going down there, you know, he was 11-3 at the time. He didn't pick up the 1 kill which he needed for his payload. Now, the tides have turned. EnVyUs have everything in their back pocket to use.
Yeah, I think the story for this round 11 is how EnVyUs plays off of that reactive armor of John. How they decide to use it, when they decide to use it. Maybe you kind of call Luminosity for their bluff. Maybe Luminosity pushes up the middle of the map. You use that reactive and you're able to pick up a big kill with it. We'll see what happens here in round 11 between these two teams.
Yeah, this is no surprise. EnVyUs are just using that reactive armor. They've all gone mid to back him up to trade out. Let's see if John can utilize this, though. He is on the defense, so there's no pressure on him, but the bomb is down very, very quickly. It wasn't Slack who planned it, so he's not going to get a payload just yet. However, now he does, gets taken down immediately, but John's reactive's gone as well.
It doesn't matter. John gets taken out before he can use the reactive armor. That is a huge kill coming in from Slack here in round 11. And now Saints behind the bus. The one ability that EnVy had that could have thrown the game in their favor has gone out the window. Octane pops camo to stay alive here. And Momo, it is Luminosity taking it in round 11. We were hyping up that reactive armor of John. How are they going to use it? How are they going to play around it? Slack jumps right over the wall, able to take him out before he can even use it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he couldn't use that. Then when Slack actually made the kill on John, so he unlocked his ability, but then died instantly. So that's 2 that just didn't get to be used. Octane picking up a kill elsewhere, enabled that camo, and as soon as he was at the bus, he saw him mid, and that's the gunfight where he was probably weak already. Using that camo just bought him so much time. Very smart play from Octane.
Yeah, Octane able to stay alive for a few seconds longer, and that's a little bit of a change in Luminosity's roster where, no, obviously not changing players, but you have Octane running the active camo in Search and Destroy. Classic not going to have that ability.
I mean, I think it's wise because we've seen him kind of just, you know, take the back, the back foot, if you like, and just kind of pick off players. And when you're picking up kills like that, you've got a player like Octane who's putting big numbers up. You want to give them the camo. You know, from Europe, you know, it's like, you know, do you give it to Bans? Do you give it to Zero? However, 2-0 in favor of Luminosity Gaming. If you've missed anything, you've missed out. However, it is not over just yet. Join us after this quick break. Can EnVyUs make another reverse sweep? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MLG Anaheim here. And we've got a game on our hands. LG are 2-0 up over EnVyUs. This is the second time EnVy have been 2-0 down. However, last time they reverse swept Red Reserve. This time, though, it may be a little bit too much.
Yeah, and just getting an update from the back, it seems that Red Reserve versus Epsilon, that is in Game 5. The last I heard, Red Reserve was up 4-0 rounds, so potentially CLG take this series. You have all 4 teams right now tied at 1 apiece.
I mean, that just kind of starts to create storylines. What will happen? Which open bracket team comes in? Do they make anything? Because if they steal one game off one of the 4,
yeah,
it can change the whole thing. Definitely for me, the pool of death here, but a lot still to play for. If Epsilon take it, they're 2-0. If Red take it, you know, we could just see an absolute massacre trying to chase that #1 spot.
And that's Epsilon, you know, with their kind of no destiny in their hands, kind of letting it slip.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked, you know, coming in, are they the second best team from Europe? You know, going up against Red Reserve, a team that they're familiar with. You know, they had to take that series. That is a series that you got to go in. You just beat LG, who's a stronger team. You got to go in, take that series against Red Reserve. They let that one kind of go away, at least what it seems, you know, before we get some updates, we'll figure out, you know, if that result is final or not. I mean, you lose that series if you're Epsilon. Now you're looking, it's like, okay, well, now we got to go up against EnVyUs. That's not an easy game. Then whoever comes out of Open, you may find yourself in a spot where look like you could have taken #1 in the group to being, you know, playing in loser bracket.
Yeah, it really is all over the place. However, you know, we will guide you through it. Stick with us. However, will we see another map 5 on this one? For me, it's pretty doubtful. LG, they seem to be on fire. Their respawn looks good. They've clutched up in the S&D here, obviously taking that 6-5. And going into the uplink as well, these two teams out, and trying to think back, this is obviously where, you know, EnVy started their reverse sweep, and Luminosity, you know, they started to come back. They both won their previous uplink. This time, though, there can only be one winner.
Yeah, and I think you look at Luminosity as when they got strong at the playoffs is when they get into that loser bracket, right? I mean, I believe it was me and you. We casted them against United. That match was over so quick. Luminosity just ran through them. They came in the next day. They were fantastic against Optic Gaming. It's like, they're not in the loser bracket, right? But you lose that first match, it kind of brings back some of those memories, right? Like, your back really kind of gets against the wall because you want to come out in the top 2 in your group. You want to advance that winner bracket. That you lose that first match, that you come out, you know, on fire in this second one.
They need to do something. They need to change their game as EnVy. But LG, so far, so good. They're clutching up. They're winning their S&Ds. And that was what, of course, we said was their, you know, lead to success. They came second at the playoffs, falling only to Splice. But uplink is the next game mode. We're going to be heading to Precinct. And this is where LG can not only pick up their first win of the tournament, they can make a bit of a statement and say they are back with a 3-0 win over the boys in blue.
And I tell you what, I feel like EnVy, you know, they haven't had, you know, some of the best results throughout the year or whatnot, but I feel like they are a better team than what their results have been from the standpoint that, like, you know, they've had some really tough groups, some really tough brackets that, like, it's kind of been very difficult to make these, like, long runs. And you get into this group here this weekend, and you look at the teams that are in it, and you're just like, oh man, there is no easy road here. I mean, it's just another very difficult way to go.
Yeah, we saw, of course, at playoffs them bow out early. For them here, they needed to turn up in pool play, obviously, try and get that top 2 seed. They'll only be looking for, of course, that #1. Anything but first is obviously not acceptable for them. But they've played LG so many times, and when I saw the games today, I think we have 6 games plus, of course, our All-Star game. This was the one I was looking at, and, you know, luckily for me, I get to cast it. It was the one where, you know, it can really, you know, make a statement going into the Saturday and Sunday.
Now, one of the games I'm excited for today is going to be United going up against Optic Gaming. Obviously, we've seen this matchup in the past. They play each other very tough. United, obviously, without Gunless. It's a big question coming into this event. I think, you know, they're 2-0 right now. 3-0 over Mindfreak, 3-0 over Fnatic.
Yeah.
Now, they look very good. I think it's a lot, you know, those 3 guys who still remain on this roster, you know, Arcides, Pristini, Silly. I don't think they come in with a lot to prove because they've been so good throughout the year. But I think they come in with a huge chip on their shoulder. Everybody talking about Gunless, you know, are they done without Gunless? How are they going to play without Gunless? They're probably sitting back like, well, what about us? It's like, we haven't been like bad players.
Too,
we're great too, and this is their time to show it.
Yeah, I mean, they've won events, they have multiple top 2s, and obviously for those guys, they've not a lot to prove, but I think for them as players, they want to say, look, we're not just a one-man team. We can win without him, with him. with whoever. And I think what they've shown so far, I mean, I actually watched the game versus Fnatic with them. They won 3-0, yes, but it was closer than I expected it to be. And yes, it's stating the obvious. They're not going to be the same team. They've changed their roster. They've picked up arguably, you know, a not as good player, if you like. It's very hard to live up to the likes of Gunless. But if their chemistry is on point, they've got 3 fantastic players. They've added a great player to their roster. And maybe this is the time, you know, they are in their honeymoon period and they can say, you know what, we can take on anyone.
I mean, look, when you make a roster change like this, I feel like as long as you hold on to, you know, 3 of the players, you just kind of slot that last player in.
Yeah.
You can make things work. And I think they add Swarly, who's a player we've seen, you know, make some nice runs at tournaments in the past. Obviously, I don't want to say Swarly is at the caliber of level player of Gunless, but he's not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. So you slot him into the roster, you get more kills maybe from Pristini on the map. Arcitys now is kind of free to be that main slayer, that really, you know, high impact performer that we've seen him do in the past. But Gunless, you know, picking up so many kills, making so many plays, didn't really need it much from Arcitys. I still think this is a very dangerous E-United squad.
Yeah, and E-United, which a lot of teams will underestimate. I actually think people will go in and like, they're not the same squad, they're not good Gunless, we can do this. But the game versus Fnatic, it was Arcitys to step up. You know, in the S&D, I think it was double digits. In the uplink, he was not only doing all the objective work, but he was doing the slaying as well. It was just everything was working for him. He was gunning absolutely everyone on Fnatic, and they cleaned that one out 3-0. But yeah, talking of Optic and E-United, that'll be a great game coming up later. We're getting the boys in the lobby very, very shortly. EnVyUs and Luminosity will be coming up with Uplinked on Precinct. I've got to go with my gut, and I do feel like LG, they've found, you know, the fire, they've found their kind of rhythm within their playstyle. I think they do close this one out 3-0. I just think Envy right now, there's something missing, but I don't know what it is.
Like, if I'm LG, I'm like, let's start the game, man. Let's get right into it. I mean, you're on a roll, you're hitting a rhythm, like you're really starting to get in sync. You know, you win these first 2 maps. You know, a break like this could really kind of like slow down a lot of that momentum that LG was building up.
Absolutely, and that momentum change in game mode is Uplink. For example, Envy take this one. We're going to see another hard point, and yeah, we saw LG kind of, you know, taking that one by storm in map number 1. For a recap, it was 250 to 168. The S&D, though, down to the wire, 6-5 on throwback. The question I will say, if it goes game 5, I was speaking to Proof, and he said he would favor EnVyUs on a game 5.
I mean, you know, Luminosity in the past, they've always kind of, you know, game 5, it's been a joke. I believe they win one during their groups because they interviewed Octane. He was like, yeah, we finally won a game 5. Great. I think it was against E-United to get in. So you look at this LG roster, you know, you go to a game 5. I mean, look, you lose 2 straight maps, you go into an S&D, they're definitely not going to feel pretty good about themselves.
Yeah.
Envy, they kind of are like, hey, you know, we just did this against Red Reserve. Let's win this game 5. Let's take this series, another reverse sweep. I don't think we get it there, though. I think even if LG loses this next map, I would definitely favor them hard in the hard point.
Yeah, to predict that, obviously, when you've got an LG team which is on fire, of course, since their defeat, would be a little bit out there. However, Pool B, as you can see, EnVyUs currently 1-0, as well as Epsilon 3-2. I believe we should, of course, have the result of Epsilon versus Red Reserve. Red Reserve, I think you said, was 4-0 up.
Yeah, when we came back from commercial break, Red Reserve was up 4-0 rounds in game 5. So that one has either, you know, gone in a crazy fashion to Epsilon, or it has been over for a decent amount of time right now. So we'll see if we can get an update on that game. But obviously, you know, Red Reserve in control in that game 5. Potentially, if they take that, that would move them up to 1-1. You'd have 3 teams right now. I know that you'd have Envy at top of the group at 1-0. But I mean, Luminosity looking in a very good spot to move to 1-1 as well.
Absolutely, and of course here in Anaheim, $200,000 is on the line. But a lot of these guys, they're thinking about that stage 2, those playoffs and champs just around the corner. We've got a lot of Call of Duty, not only this weekend, of course. However, with it being Friday, it's game 1 for these guys. You know, they've got to turn up in their pools, and they really need to show it. And for LG, it needs to be now. However, we are going to go to a very quick break. When we come back, we will be starting map number 3 between EnVyUs and LG.
Rich here on the floor with Scump from Optic Gaming. These guys are on fire, undefeated in their group right now. Is there anything that can hold you guys back here today?
I've always said it. It's always us. Our biggest enemy is ourselves. Our whole team basically says that motto. I mean, if we come out and play well, it doesn't matter who we play. Chances are we're going to win as long as we do what we're supposed to do and play for the win and not for individual KDs.
I mean, coming into today, I mean, most recently stage one, kind of in the rearview mirror. How much did you learn from stage one to bring to this tournament?
I mean, we didn't really learn too much. We just didn't play well at stage one. I thought we were the best team at stage one. I still think we were the best team there. We just came out flat and played bad against teams that you can't afford to do that in FaZe and LG. So honestly, I think we had a bad event. We're looking to bring it back though here in front of an amazing crowd, which is going to fill up here.
This crowd is quite amazing. Now the next match for you guys today, it's going to be EUnited. They of course don't have Gunless today. They're going to be playing with Swarly. What do you think that matchup is going to be like for you guys?
It's tough to call. Gunless was, I always say that him and Arcides were their 1 and 2, their best players. So without him, I feel like it takes a lot of their aggression out of the game, but I could be wrong. I don't know how their team meshed. I haven't played them. I haven't seen them play. I still think we're going to take the series. It's just going to be a little bit of an oddball to play with them without Gunless.
It's going to be really interesting to see that matchup, so stay tuned, guys. It is coming up soon. Thank you so much. We will see you guys soon. Going to throw it back up to the casters.
Thank you very much, Rich, and of course, Scum, a fan favorite here in Anaheim. That crowd will be filling out. Optic, of course, the perfect start so far.
Yeah, and they you hear Scump. He does not know what to expect from this EUnited squad now that they do not have Gunless. They expected maybe a little bit not as aggressive as play, but I think, they may underestimate EUnited coming up later in the day.
Absolutely. I mean, Swarly, fitting in the boots of Gunless. He's a great player. It's very hard to kind of fill those shoes, if you like. However, he'll have to do his best. So far, so good for United. They seem to be taking one step at a time. However, we've got LG and EnVy still on the main stage. It is 2-0 to LG, if you've missed anything so far. EnVy, they've got the back against the walls. I think it may be a little bit too much for them, but they need to pull something out of the bag right now.
Yeah, I think, look, with this little bit of a break right now, I think it definitely favors EnVy. LG, they're rolling. They want to keep playing these games. They're playing quite well right now. No, EnVy, this is a time they can kind of take a breather, get relaxed, a little bit more composed, talk about what they want to do going into this uplink.
Okay, well, the guys are getting ready on main stage. Let's see what our analysts have to say. Back to the studio, and Ben.
Thank you very much, guys. A fantastic series, of course, on the main stage so far. As you heard them say, Luminosity Gaming up 2-0 against Team EnVyUs. I do kind of briefly want to get your thoughts. Is that expected coming in here, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think after stage one, how much better Luminosity has been than EnVy. EnVy just sort of, we don't know what to expect for them, right? I mean, just not sure. They haven't performed the best all year long. They've had some top 4, top 5 finishes, but since that, I mean, not really much come from that side. We're just not sure what to expect from the roster anymore.
I mean, the Search and Destroy does go to a run 11, of course, that map number 2. It looked for a moment as if maybe EnVy was going to take it, but I feel like that was going to be their key to success proof. I feel like EnVy, if they wanted any chance of taking this series, they needed to take that at Search.
Well, in LG's favor, they finally closed out a Search there.
Yeah.
Good for them. But like I was saying up here, I think EnVy and LG are the 2 teams that struggle the most with closing out Searches. So EnVy's going to have some struggles. I want to see John step it up. It looked like he slowed his sensitivity back down. I want to ask him about that. I'm not entirely sure about that. But again, Octane, like I called, was going to be the one to go off first map. As expected, he started off like 16 and 10, was leading the team, leading the charge at the end of the game as well. So yeah,
definitely a good performance from him.
And that's just the thing to me. When you watch EnVy, if it's not apathy, it has to be Slasher. Slasher got shut down. He lost that battle against Octane, and then that game number 2, he started performing a little bit better. John played really well, but Slasher's the player to me. If he's playing well, this EnVy team, they have more position on the map that allows John, apathy, and JCap to sort of play more aggressive. So Slasher, he has to win more battles against Octane if they want to get back into this series.
I mean, just to kind of touch on that point, he was 12 and 22 in map number 1, which is a very unslasher-like performance. We kind of know him to be a phenomenal player. But looking at map number 3, the uplink TP, how does EnVy come back into this series?
Well, EnVy's one of those teams, especially in uplink, that are good at slowing down the pace and really keeping the score extremely low.
Right.
Both teams' defense going to be quite strong on the link, but the one thing I want to note on is how EnVy was playing that Search and Destroy. I feel like against LG, you don't really want to go head-to-head in a slaying battle with them and playing extremely fast. There's no way you can really argue that LG is probably the best team at playing fast in that sort of style. So I think they sort of made a mistake. So in this uplink, I think they need to play a sort of keep away style with that drone, forcing LG to, I guess, making the game as least gunfight oriented as possible, making them rotate, run around the map rather than shooting, because, well, we know what Octane can do when he gets posted it up in power positions, he's going to melt you. So
yeah, the one thing you want to do is change that fast pace, knowing LG is the top respawn team here. I mean, at the last event, they beat EnVy, they beat FaZe, they beat everyone in the respawn. So you want to slow their gameplay down. You don't want to get into those constant gunfights with them. Try to switch it up, make them change their pace.
And just to me, that just comes out early. You have to win games early on, you know, slow that pace down. If you don't have the lead, you have to run at Luminosity. It's a run into Octane. Control the game early on. Win that first half. That allows you to sort of set the pace, control the drone, do what you want, get those payloads earlier. The game just comes to you if you're able to come out early in that game.
And let's say theoretically EnVy do take map number 3, right? Then you still have to beat LG in a hard point. I mean, is that possible, or is this series done? Is it done and dusted, team?
I think it's definitely possible, especially from what we saw in the previous series that EnVyUs was able to win on that breakout. Apathy had one of those games that Joe was talking about. When Apathy lights it up, he went like 32 and like 17 or something.
Right.
Like when he has a game like that, when anyone plays like that, you're probably going to win the hard point no matter what.
Clutching 1v1 searches.
Streaks are so important, and most importantly, you get that momentum. So we talk about the reverse sweeps happening. They've been happening a lot. EnVy was able to do it in their first series against Red. Well, we could see it again, but it is LG.
Fair enough, fair enough. Of course, that game will commence play very shortly. Of course, there's a little bit of a technical issue. I'm sure some of you guys playing at home may have realized update has dropped, so we're getting all of our consoles ready for both teams to continue play. But whilst that game was going on, there was tons of action on our feature stations. Proofy, one of the games you were watching was actually the eUnited versus Mindfreak matchup. Have the Australians impressed you enough here, or are they still missing a key component?
I feel like they're really missing their respawn game. I mean, in the search as well, Dens was double digits. He's the only one on their team to do anything against them, and it still wasn't enough to beat that eUnited squad. So I think they need to figure out what they can do in respawn, how to get kills and trade out better, and then take that into search and work together in searches.
And I feel that was the key, right? When we watched Mindfreak during kind of stage 1, we said, oh, their search and destroy is fantastic. We really expected them to kind of grow on that, but they're having a really poor weekend.
What did they lose? They lost ERAD presence, right? You lost that entry person in Excite. I mean, now you did pick up Dens, but he's a guy who runs around the K-Bar and NV4. He picks up Slays. What did you lose? You lost bait. You lost your Excite.
Lost
he's
pressure.
Going first.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He's going to jump in with that ERAD. That's what you lose. Now you put that pressure on Fida, who's probably your second guy to go in now, and now he has to go in first. It puts a lot more pressure on him. It's just a change of styles. I mean, we can talk about this all day long. Nobody agrees with this roster change except for them.
Yeah, it is a weird one. Every one of you guys that have been on the desk so far, when we've been talking about Mindfreak, have said, I don't get it. Obviously, internally, they say, hey, this is what's right, and you have to respect their opinion. But from an outsider's point of view, I mean, I'm sure there's even fans out there that are sat saying, like, dude, what are you doing?
The biggest thing, and it's not necessarily Buzzo's fault, it's just every single player has a style of play, and Buzzo's just doesn't seem to work with this sort of team. And exactly what Joe said, I love the point there. When you take away that player that was Excite, he didn't really care about what he ended up in the stat category at the end of the game. And you put all that pressure onto someone else, everything that was working for them before, they have to switch up everything else after that. And no matter what, if Denz is dropping a bunch of kills, if Fida has a terrible stat line because of that new role he's trying to play for them, it really doesn't matter that much. So it's a tough situation from them. Again, I don't agree with it.
eUnited went 2-0 up, then they went over to the uplink, and it was a precinct. They win at 9-5, so it was a 3-0 sweep for them. Swally goes double negative, but eUnited still win. How has he been playing, Proof? I know you've been watching eUnited a fair amount.
It's S squared for me right now. I think Swally and Silly have been playing extremely well. El Cristini, you know, he's going to do his thing. He actually called me out for saying they're gunless. He'd be like, yeah, we suck, we're gunless. I'm sorry, Pristini. I saw the 3 pieces. You were doing work. The gun skills there.
they still have it. They still have it.
No, yeah, that's a huge win. You know, uplink that one game type where gunless was really a huge part of their play because he just had so many impact plays, you know, with that camo. Now Swarley, I'm not sure exactly who's running camo. I believe it might be RC's now because you know he's a guy who's going to get those slays. He's going to have the camo at the end of the game. But Swarley, he's just going to run around with an ERAD. That helps Pristini out. So put your eyes on the twins. Yep. Pristini and RC's, they have to have a big weekend.
Yep, they do. And they're currently sitting pretty top of the group 2-0. So congrats, of course, to them. Looking forward to watching them in championship bracket kind of matches against some of the top teams. See just, you know, how good Swally can
first.
Oh, come on. Let's be honest. Really? You're going to say they're not finishing top of the
I'm
ranks?
going to tell you. No, I'm not going to say that.
Exactly. So that's my point. I'm excited to see him in the championship bracket game.
Pump the brakes, Joe.
Oh, come on. Come on. Moving forward as well, though, there was Epsilon versus Red Reserve, a bit of a European battle as well. That was going on the Delta station, and that actually went the distance, but that went all the way to a game 5. Again, I know you were watching that one pretty intently. It was Epsilon that took map number 1.
It came down to the searches. Like I said, I think the EU teams have the better search here, and of course, Red won both searches, and then they got the series.
Is that something that it's kind of across the board you all agree
Only
with
in
here?
this game, I think like it benefits their aggression in this game. They're able to just trade out, put the heat on them, and make plays. I think it benefits the European players. In the boots on the ground COD, we would talk to Ray. He said, let's wait for him. Just wait for him to push. Wait for him to make a mistake. Okay, there he goes. He's running like an idiot. Take him out. We move forward. It's simple. In this game, it benefits them to be that aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a team, this Red Reserve team, you saw them yesterday. They played extremely well. Obviously, this pickup of Rated, they got rid of Nile, has made a huge impact, though. But this game number 1, I believe, was all Epsilon, and their hardpoint has looked so good all weekend long. They destroyed Luminosity on it, like 250 to 87. And this guy on your screen, Dave, has just been playing extremely well.
Dave. I was waiting for it. I was waiting to
do that every time we hear Dave.
Epsilon, of course, do take map number 1. It was 250 to 168. And to Joe's point, team, their hardpoint has been very good. Has there been a key thing that you've noticed which has kind of changed their hardpoint playstyle?
It's really the speed, and especially going back to CWL Birmingham, I feel like they really set the precedent with that 3 ERAD pressure. When you can play that fast with multiple players able to pull that weapon out at any given time, there's been several situations already in this tournament where multiple ERADs have been working out for these teams. A lot of pro players have been talking about the ERAD in specific, it being too powerful in itself. I think a lot of guys are trying to prove that here.
Yep, very true. Of course, game 2, that was a 6-3 victory for Red Reserve. Proof, you kind of touched on Red, doing a very good job of holding out those search and destroys. It went over to the uplink now, and this is where Epsilon kind of turned on the heat a little bit here.
Yeah, first half, it was pretty much even across the board. I couldn't really go with anyone and decide who would win that. And then second half happened, and it was just all Epsilon. I can't even say one player on their team that kind of took off. It was just an absolute team effort. But yeah, maybe Dave. Maybe Dave. But it was an absolute team effort. I loved watching it. Great plays on their part.
Yeah, and I mean, just speaking of Dave, I sat next to him. You know, I wasn't on the first segment. I was watching him play that Luminosity and play against Luminosity, and he's a player that, like, just allows the game to come to him, and you don't see that very often. He just thinks about his plays. He's constantly looking at his mini-map. It makes the game look easy, and that's something we used to talk about a lot, making that game look easy. And how do you do that? He knows when to pick up the pace. He knows when to slow the game down. I mean, you can just see he has a beautiful shot. It's a great watch.
Definitely a fantastic player, that is for sure. At this point in the series, Epsilon up 2-1. Proof, was that when you were thinking that the series was done?
I honestly did. I did not see Epsilon losing this map at all, but what happened to me is Vortex was the only player out of all 8 that needed to do something differently or figure out how to get himself going. He had the most hill time, so in my opinion, I think you maybe need to hop off the hill at times, get yourself those few little kills, get yourself going, gas yourself up when you get a 2-piece, and then you can continue from there. Whenever I struggle as a player, that's what I would do. I would just say, all right, let's go get a kill, focus on the objective in a second, just get a kill, get yourself going, and then get back into the game.
It's really something that can sort of cycle out of control, especially with the rhythm of how hardpoint sort of works. If you start playing much slower, if you're the guy always getting the hills, sitting in a corner, I've definitely done it before, where you just really slow down that pace. You need to have that constant wave of pressure. So if your first guy in the line of defense is playing back, it forces everyone else to play a different sort of style. Maybe that was happening for Vortex there.
Like game 5, all about Urban. I mean, he just went off. I mean, he's had a great series. Even at stage 1, he played great. You can see here he's on a 7 streak. He has full streaks. He just really carried them to victory.
Have to yell into the gunfight, like, I don't care, I'm Urban.
Yeah, just him and Joe played extremely well in this game number 5, and they were able to take it. And again, as Proof said, you know, you win those search and destroys, it makes your life a lot easier.
That was a convincing one as well. 6-1 victory gave Red Reserve 3-2 victory, so congratulations to them. They get their first win in pool play under their belts. Elsewhere as well, I believe it was Up to Gaming versus Fnatic. That was another game that was played. It was a pretty simple one for Up to Gaming, won't lie. It was a 3-0 sweep team. I asked her, I was like, oh, you got a lot of notes? You're like, not really, no. It was a pretty dominant performance.
It was a really quick one, much faster than this series on the Mace, that's for darn sure. But overall, the hard points, the respawns from Optic Gaming, you really expect them to just dominate overall. They were able to do it, so pretty straightforward.
Fantastic stuff for the Green Wall, but I believe the matchup on main stage is ready to be continued. It's Team EnVyUs versus LG. LG currently up 2-0. We can set it back down to our fantastic casters for the series.
Thank you very much, guys. And yes, sounds like Optic just doing work as always. We are ready to go. Update's done. I believe the game is starting. We're jumping into game 3. LG are 2-0 up. if this does end in 3 for LG, we are going to have a 1-1 split across Pool B. It's going to make things ever so more sweet and important, of course, going into Saturday. And LG, they're looking strong to do so.
Yeah, and LG, they win the first map. I believe it was like 250 to 168, and then game number 2 goes to a round 11. They end up winning it there 6-5. John has reactive armor for EnVyUs. They don't get a chance to use it. Slack kills him before he is able to pop that ability.
Yeah, obviously payloads so important in all game modes. Going into Uplink, you're going to be looking at that camo, that reactive armor. You know, we'll see FTL and maybe some other ones as well. Your standard ones, though, will be that camo. You've got to utilize that. You've got to make those plays count. And, of course, we'll be watching the players, which is, of course, using that one. We're going to be going to Precinct, and the last time I saw this, it was Splice, who dominated 23-3.
That was ugly.
I do not think we're going to see a game like that again.
That was an ugly one to sit through. Yeah, I mean, Splice just really dominant against E6 on this map. E6, though, put together a hell of a series. I mean, they take it to game 5, just like they did during the playoffs against Splice. They fall a little bit short, but coming into this one, Luminosity against EnVyUs. Luminosity in complete control of this series, trying to put it away. And a 3-0 actually would be huge just in terms of mount count as well. So a lot of these teams, 1-1, in this Pool B, they're all, 3-2 map count series, whatnot. If Luminosity can win this one 3-0, it gives them a huge advantage going forward.
Absolutely. Well, can they close it out? Let's kick things off as we will be jumping on board with Octane straight away, though. Getting into this one, 5 minutes either side. That drone in the middle, 1.4 a throw, 2 for a carry capture. Let's see how we can pan this one out.
And Luminosity on the side where we usually see more points put up. This is the side where you saw Splice do a lot of their damage. Slack gets drone in hand, a nice melee beat down there. They're trying to set up some kind of action with the drone, cannot pick up any kills to move it forward. So it's going to be Slack throwing the drone down, trying to push forward behind it, but not able to do so.
Interesting enough, just kind of the route that they took there was a little bit different than usual. The drone's going to be picked up by Luminosity now. And this is where we see them kind of stick together, push around and go high. Luminosity using that, of course, will run into their advantage. John and Slasher shuts down 2 players and maybe can make a push for themselves. But still, the drone hasn't been picked up, just going for the slaying side of things. And now it's in the hands of John, a player which we've highlighted many times, and a player which is pretty explosive at times. But he knows that a couple are from behind. He's going to take one to the grave with him. And we're going to see Classic take over.
Yeah, they need John and Apathy to really be that dynamic duo they were at the end of Black Ops 3. When this EnVyUs team won COD XP last year, John, the MVP, he was phenomenal. Apathy, though, being very aggressive towards the mid-map with him, able to put a lot of pressure on the opponents. JCap able to fill some lanes. Slasher with the assault rifle so strong. They need that great play from John and Apathy. It just seems in this game, at this moment in time, that they've gotten good games from one, but not the other. They have not been able to get both players clicking on all cylinders.
And when they do click, it's very rare that they will lose a game. However, with 3 players going down, it is all up to Cat, but as you see on the minimap, he's nowhere to be seen. This is going to be a clean 2-point play. That's coming in from Luminosity to start things off. And you know what? We've had 2 minutes already, and so far, so good for Luminosity. Envy, they've been on the back foot here, yet to make a move after that first initial play.
They have the opportunity to now, but it's going to be an interception coming in from the side of Luminosity. Since we started playing Uplink, one of the better teams at being able to pick up these interceptions. This should be points, though. Slasher loses his boost here, just going to get it right back. Able to put in a 2-point play. Got a little bit dangerous there, though, for EnVyUs as they tie the game up.
Okay, well, Crack, open your headphones. Let's listen to EnVyUs.
One back ass, dude.
One back square. Trying to.
Who's our back weak? Watch out.
One hole right now. That's a little weak. Go top window, I think. And one's hitting orange. One's hitting orange.
One shot orange, Sam, and ball guy. I got it. Orange, bio green truck, bio green car, absolutely. You're done.
Nice. Done. I'm playing ball. Yeah, I'm playing ball with you.
I'm coming cat with you. You guys gotta play ball.
Oh, John?
Top cat, I think. Top cat. One's back square. Top cat, back square.
Ball.
Behind cat, absolutely nada.
There's 3 cat. I think there's 3 cat.
Oh, we got orange already. Orange and coming in ballroom. Nice. He was orange. He's on you. Oh, shit on him. I'm coming.
Oh, let's go. No, last guy's on ball. He's on ball. He's close heady, Nick. He's already close heady. Nice. To that. Looking for Sam to save. Right there. Nice. Looking for Sam. He's gonna be. He's right there. Nice.
Let's get Slack.
Pitch quick. Slack might be behind square. I need a square.
Going for it.
He's low.
Ain't over the pack and square.
Yeah, that's too low. Hopefully get that one.
Got a one.
Nice. Good job. That's
not a win wood. 2 cat, not a win ball. Gonna be close here.
Yeah, I'm needing white.
Maybe slow down, use a car. I spawn back gas.
One might be.
White. Oh, white, already got out, white.
Nick's on our back alley.
Yeah, those guys are back alley right now. There's 3 on our yellow truck.
Might pass it.
Yep.
One guy really weak.
They got that.
We can play you. We can play you guys.
Go wood here. They're gonna all go back.
All right.
One shot or backpack.
So you can hear there from Envy putting a few things together and getting 3 points on the board, but LG currently doubling that score at 6 with 60 seconds left to go, though. JCap has other ideas and he's looking to put a point on the board. He should have 2 here quite safely if he goes for it. However, a little bit of a mix-up there. Just find himself the 2-point play, but taken down just after.
Yeah, so I thought we were going to get into that scenario where if you, on the defensive end, jump into the goal while a player's going in for 2, you can actually body block there. But it looks like the player on LG just kind of kept floating through the goal and out the other side, and JCap was able to put that 2-point play in. Bring Envy to within 1.
1-point play, but only 1 player alive. That's going to be Slash now as Saints does take control, and he has the teammates around him. And we'll be looking to convert this one straight up there as Octane and Classic. They're putting more kills on the board. And the score streaks were ever so close there for Saints, but does get taken down in the process of doing so. Octane takes one with him as well, and this is where the drone, maybe a 1-point play for Slack. That'd be fantastic, seeing as he's the last one alive, but a little bit too short there with 20 seconds left to go. Unlikely we're going to see anything here unless Envy can make a very, very quick push.
Nope, it's a very difficult throw to hit over the building. We've seen Jur do it a few times. You know, probably one of the best players I've seen able to knock that throw down consistently, but one of the harder throws in the game. Envy in the final seconds here, trying to get a point on the board. Cat picks up the drone, slides by 1, gets it off, but it's going to be intercepted there in the final seconds. Luminosity so strong on the defensive end, hold the lead going into the second half.
And we talked about this on the desk, actually, about LG and their defensive side of things. They're very, very strong at interceptions. It's not just one player. They seem to have, all 4 players which are very capable of just, jumping at the right times, and it's well practiced. And it's showing here. Again, a point has been blocked straight away. Currently sits at 8-5 with 5 minutes on the clock. This could be the last 5 minutes of the series if LG are to close this one out.
You see Classic actually, I believe, has that Trinity rocket as well, so could use that on the offense or defensive end. Slack's going to earn a Scarab, so score streaks on the board for Luminosity, but Envy has the drone. JCap trying to push forward, needed to pick up one of those kills to spring John free for some points. He doesn't pick up any of them, and that offensive push stopped by Luminosity.
Now still kind of just biting back and forth here. The drone yet to go anywhere, but with 30 seconds gone, it's just lingering around that statue. Slasher has other ideas. He's just trying to pick up some kills, and wisely does so. He's going to trade out with Octane. The drone, though, is slowly moving towards the base of Luminosity. With only JCap last alive, he's got to make a play here. He takes down 1. Can he do anything more? He's found another close-up. Oh, with Erad as well. Slacked using that movement to his advantage, but now we're starting to see payloads, and the one play that is going off is Classic. He's got a Trinity rocket, he's got that camo as well. That should be a 1. It should be a 2-point play if used correctly.
If used correctly. We saw a lot of players after, the playoffs, every time we saw Classic use camo, I'd go on Twitter. It's like all the players are like, take the camo away from Classic. Well, it seemed like at least in Search and Destroy they have. We saw Octane using the active camo in game number 2, but they're going to trust Classic with the camo here in game 3. We've seen him make a ton of great plays before. I think, just gotten some bad situations at playoffs. We'll see if he can turn into points. 2 big kills from Octane. He earns himself overdrive, and he's going to pop it and head all the way on the flank towards the bottom side of this minimap.
Okay, well, what's his route? He's going for a bit of a diverse one, and this time, with the players making all the kills like that, that's going to be another 2-point, and it's doubled 10-5 right now. Smart play from Octane, but really it was his teammates picking up the kills which enabled him to do that 5-kill streak here with 3 minutes left to go. LG looking strong.
And he's working on score streaks as well. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, only 50 away from the Trinity rockets. His teammates already have him, but JCap shuts him down before he can earn those score streaks. So would have been very difficult. Obviously they do have some score streaks on Classic, but to make this comeback, now it's a little bit easier for Envy.
It's 1 of 5, even just to tie things up. You've got to look at Classic with that camo. He's also got streaks available. This is going to be very, very difficult. A lot of open areas here on Precinct. Now with 2 minutes 30 on the clock, the drone is gone in favor of Luminosity. They're pushing forward. They've got pretty much a clear run with 3 players going down. The camo is popped. May not have even been needed, but that 6 and 12 is looking daunting for the squad of Team EnVyUs. This is very difficult for them right now.
Yeah, you see how powerful active camo is. You're able to just pop that ability with the drone in hand, just glide on in for an easy 2-point play. Just extend that lead if you're a Luminosity. And you have these score streaks. Potentially you could use them on the defensive end, right? You know, Envy gets control of your base. You pop that Trinity rocket. You're able to get 1 or 2. Maybe stop some points from going in. Or Luminosity just want to rack the score up, Momo. They could use them on the offensive end, right? Kill the players from Envy off of spawn. That'll be a 4 dead for EnVyUs Classic, getting in position to receive a pass here so they can put in another 2-point play. But man, the score heavily favoring Luminosity. Now you see the score streaks used here on offense.
Yeah, Classic, he's padding his stats, he's getting all kind of plays, he's getting the kills, the objective, and Luminosity putting EnVyUs to shame right now. I said we wouldn't get a game like 23-3, but we're heading towards that if Luminosity carry on the dominance. 15-6 as it stands. John trying to get out of there alive with the drone, but it's shut down straight away. And this is the point where EnVyUs, you know, they've got a few payloads, but it's just a little bit too late.
Yeah, I mean, Classic has the bombardment as well, so you know, even if Envy, they've started to get this game close in the last minute, you know, Luminosity would be able to get control of their base pretty easily. You see 3 payload abilities at the top of your screen already for Envy. They have the utility, but the score has been put so far out of reach here, Momo. 15-6 in favor of LG. There comes the bombardment. It's able to get 1. Saints picks up 2 more. And just when you thought Envy was going to get mid-map control, potentially a little bit of a push going here to put some points on the board at the end, it is all LG. Another 1-point play.
You got to just say, fantastic team effort all round. You know, we've seen Octane constantly picking up kills, 28 and 21. Classic, he's 30 kills now, just after that kill onto Slasher. But Slacked and Saints, you know, they've been doing work, both positive. We've got Classic on a 7-kill streak as he does get taken down there finally. But overall, as a squad, we're looking at a very, very positive side here. 18-6. Very, very dominant here. 15 seconds left to go, and that is going to be all she wrote here for Luminosity and EnVyUs.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen Luminosity put these games together before, but Saints would be lagging behind a little bit. He shows up huge in this game, 28 and 23. The rest of the guys slay out of their minds. It'll be Luminosity winning 18-6 and getting a huge 3-0 series win over EnVyUs.
Yeah, totaling positive 25 as a squad. There is only going to be one result when all your players are slaying, they're working as a team, the payload usage is great, the camo was used as well. And looking at Envy, yes, you're going to get those payloads eventually, but not only is it too late, but they're just not in the position to use it at all.
Yeah, and EnVyUs is fortunate, Phil. I mean, you know, they come back, they reverse Sweet Red Reserve in their first match of the day. That easily could have been another 3-0 loss for Envy. They lose here to Luminosity, but it's not the end of the world. They sit at 1-1, tied with the rest of their teams in the group. Still a good shot for Envy to make it out.
Absolutely, and Luminosity getting a 3-0 sweep there. That's going to help them, of course, going into you know, the later parts of that pool. But we are just going to see here LG close things out against Envy. We've got so much Call of Duty coming up. It is only day 1 of MLG Anaheim, and LG, they're looking strong. Can they continue it in Pool B? Join us after this quick break.